at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We got to unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters. Monday, January 13th. I'm Dean Obeidallah, as always, here to be your MBFF. If you want an MBFF, I'm there. It's your choice. I'm not trying to force myself. This is not like some kind of Sharia imposing thing, but I'm there for you. I'm on Twitter all the time at Dean Obeidallah. I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had some fun. A lot of big things coming up. A lot of things to cover. Even over the weekend, stuff broke. I was on Joy Reid's show on Sunday on MSNBC. I love Joy. It was great chatting with her about the 2020 race. And we are now 295 days, 295 away from Judgment Day. That's what I called it in 2018. And it's even more acute now in 2020. 295 days to Judgment Day. Which way will our nation go? Trumpistan? Or a return on some level to what the values of this nation that we believe they are and should be? They're not perfect. It wasn't perfect before Trump. It was far better. We got to win and push forward. That's what we have to do. And of course, Donald Trump, every single day, this guy reminds us of how bad he is. Every day. And he did it today with a bunch of garbage. One, starting out the day retweeting a photoshopped image of Nancy Pelosi wearing a hijab, which is a simple head covering women wear, and Chuck Schumer in look like, Islamic wardrobe, a turban on his head, and with the Iranian flag saying they are supporting the Ayatollah because they're calling out Trump's lies on the killing of the Iranian general. If you made fun of, if any leading Democrat were to tweet out an image of a Republican and mocking them, making them look like they're the Virgin Mary or some Christian figure, they'd go crazy. They would crucify you for doing that, pun intended. But when they demonize Muslims or Jews, because Trump has done it over and over, just a week ago, after the entire discussions of the rise of anti-Semitism in our country and people being beaten and killed for being Jewish, there's Donald Trump tweeting Adam Shifty Schiff, just shifty again, an anti-Semitic trope. He doesn't care. This guy doesn't care. And evangelicals back him up, which I think one of the things we'll take away when this is all over is that conservative white evangelicals are not a religion. They're a political party. They're no different than Democrat or Republican or the Green Party. They're just the evangelicals. Don't confuse it with Christianity or the teachings of Jesus Christ, or it will upset you, because they're not anything like that. They're about a political agenda and Christian Sharia law. Maybe what set Trump off about Nancy Pelosi were a few things. I think one is her yesterday, or George Stephanopoulos, making it very clear, folks, as she put it, you can hear it here, impeachment is forever. Sort of like diamonds. Here's clip number one.
We have confidence in our case that it is impeachable, and this president is impeached for life, regardless of any gamesmanship on the part of Mitch McConnell. However, that could still come to bear. But we're confident in the impeachment, and we think that it is enough testimony to remove him from office. However, we want the American people to see the truth. And why are they afraid of the truth? We feel very proud of the courage of our members to vote to impeach the president. There's nothing the Senate can do that can ever erase that.
There's nothing the Senate can do to ever erase it. Impeachment's forever, Trump. You're in every school textbook forever. Third president in the history of this great republic who's been impeached by the House. And he's going crazy. And we have to revisit what we touched on Friday. And Donald Trump's lies about Iran are like Bush's lies about Iraq. And they show us how Republican presidents lead this nation into war based on lies. And it is now, after this weekend, and we'll go through some clips, 100% clear, in my view at least, that Donald Trump's killing of the Iranian general was not about an imminent threat, because there's no evidence of that, or to protect any American interest. It was to help Donald Trump's 2020 re-election campaign. That's it. That's why he did it. We learned a lot of things over the weekend. One is Trump approved the killing of Soleimani, the general, 7 months ago. Just was contingent on certain conditions to be fulfilled. So it wasn't a new thing he was told. This was 7 months ago. Going on from there, Donald Trump did his best. And Team Trump out this weekend trying to tell people and justify the killing of essentially the second ranking or most powerful person in the state of Iran. And let's remind everyone, the very first time the Trump administration went on air to defend it was Mike Pompeo the day after, not last Friday, the Friday before, and talking to John Berman about the imminent threat to kill Americans. And here it is. This is right from day one. Clip number 2, please.
You put out a statement a short time ago that says the decision to eliminate General Soleimani was in response to imminent threats to American lives. What was the nature of those imminent threats?
John, I can't talk too much about the nature of the threats, but the American people should know that President Trump's decision to remove Qasem Soleimani from the battlefield saved American lives. There's no doubt about that. He was actively plotting in the region to take actions, a big action as he described it, that would have put dozens, if not hundreds, of American lives at risk. We know it was imminent. This was an intelligence-based assessment that drove our decision-making process. And last night was the time that we needed to strike to make sure that this imminent attack that he was working actively was disrupted.
A specific target overseas?
I'm not going to say anything more about the nature of the attack, but know that this was not just in Iraq. It was throughout the region.
So there was Mike Pompeo, very clear. Imminent attack. Doesn't mention embassies, but there's something out there. Trust us, essentially. Donald Trump says Soleimani was plotting imminent attacks, sinister attacks. And then Trump started talking about embassies all of a sudden, midweek. And I think that's clearly because the poll numbers that had come out had shown that most Americans were not approving of the action. And there was a poll in the middle of last week that was backed up by a new ABC poll released yesterday. Only about 25% of Americans think we are safer now from killing the general. And that was the big test. Is this guy a bad guy? Yeah. But is it making us safer as a nation? Only 25% say yes. So that means even Trump supporters, there was a big swath that like, no, we're not safer now. In fact, we're probably less safe. But Trump is out there. So then he starts talking midweek. All of a sudden, embassies. We didn't hear anything about this. Here's clip number 3.
We did it because they were looking to blow up our embassy.
He was looking very seriously at our embassies, and not just the embassy in Baghdad.
He was going after, in our opinion, and our very intelligent opinion, he was going after our embassies.
So there's Trump talking about embassies. Embassies. That was midweek. There's some embassies. And trying to do his best to get public opinion on his side, and it's not moving. So then he goes to his safe space, Fox News, goes on with Laura Ingraham, and now it goes from embassies to 4 specific embassies. First time ever, Friday night, we hear this new thing. Here's clip number 3.
Probably it was going to be the embassy in Baghdad. I believe it would have been 4 embassies, and I think that probably Baghdad already started.
So there is 4 embassies. Now, here's the thing. If the senators had not been briefed earlier in the week, both Republicans and Democrats and members of the House, we might say, if they had been briefed that there were embassies and they came forward and said that would be different. But that's not what happened. The senators, as Mike Lee said, when he was talking on Fox News, the threats they were told about were general, not specific. That's why he was slamming it. And in fact, Mike Pompeo Friday had a press conference with Steve Mnuchin, and Peter Alexander from NBC News challenges Pompeo on that, saying, and I'll play the clip for you. The senators said they weren't briefed on embassies. And Alexander goes to Pompeo, who says, oh, they were. Alexander goes, are you saying the senators are liars? I mean, this is how ridiculous this is getting. You've got Republican senators saying publicly they were not told about the embassies. They're telling reporters that because they're saying it in the media. And Pompeo's going, nope, they were briefed on it. So here, and this is, to me, this is one of the most stunning things you're going to hear. This is from clip number 5.
Here today at the podium, you said that the imminent threat was a threat to U.S. embassies. You didn't know precisely when or where. Last night, the president said it was a threat to embassies, including to our Baghdad embassy. Why can you say that here, and the president could say it at a rally in Toledo, but no one said it to lawmakers behind closed doors in a classified setting, as multiple senators have since said?
We did.
said, so the senators
Yes.
are lying when they say that
we told them about the
was a
imminent threat. All of the intelligence that we've briefed, that you've heard today, I assure you, in an unclassified setting, we provide in the classified setting as well.
To be clear, you told them that embassies were to be targeted. That was the imminent threat.
I'm not going to talk about the details of what we shared in the classified setting, but make no mistake about it. Those leaders, those members of Congress who want to go access this same intelligence can see that very same intelligence that will reflect what I described to you and what the president said last night as well.
Look, this is not partisan at all. You have a Republican senior senator from Utah, Mike Lee, saying on Fox News, they were days before this, we were not told any specific threats. We've played those clips. He got headlines around the country. Rand Paul, same thing. Made it clear we were not told about any specific threats. They were not told about embassies. Democratic senators said it as well. Peter Alexander on Friday says, Pompeo, you're saying embassies now. Why didn't you tell the senators in the classified briefings? And Pompeo's answer is, we did. And I like Alexander very much. And he goes, are you saying the senators are lying? No. We told them. So you are saying this is where we are. So then we get to the weekend and it gets worse. If that's possible, it gets worse. In fact, an hour and a half ago, brand new breaking news came out, makes this even worse. And that, again, this matters. This is about an administration, and we've lived through this with the Iraq War, an administration, a Republican administration, to be specific, lying to the American people to try to support military action. And we have to be very suspect. I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican president who wants to lead our military into war and put women and men's lives in jeopardy, Americans and foreign people, civilians as well. We've got to be very aware. So you look at this stuff. First of all, the Trump administration has no credibility whatsoever. But over the weekend, they send out National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. He replaced John Bolton. He's not very well known. He was out there. And Mark Esper, Secretary of Defense. So here is National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien with Stephanopoulos asking the question, did you warn the embassies? Because you're saying 4 embassies now were targeted, and you knew that in advance because that was the intelligence you used to justify killing Soleimani. So did you warn the embassies? You can do it secretly. Warn them, hey, there's a threat. You should get out of there. So listen, first response here is Robert O'Brien, National Security Advisor with George Stephanopoulos, clip number 6.
If General Soleimani was targeting 4 embassies, why weren't those embassies alerted? Why weren't they evacuated?
Well, listen, we're not going to cut and run every time somebody threatens us.
So we're not threatening them because we're tough guys. Get that? We're not going to cut and run. So that's one of two things. Either there was not really a serious threat, or second, the administration doesn't care if American diplomats are killed. I tend to think that it wasn't a serious threat because they don't want a Benghazi on their hands. We know that. Trump is obsessed with Benghazi. So if there was a real threat, they're clearing out all the embassies. So they didn't. So there you just heard Robert O'Brien, National Security Advisor, going, we didn't warn them. We don't cut and run. Meanwhile, almost at the exact same time on CNN with Jake Tapper, here is Mark Esper, Secretary of Defense, telling him, we did warn the embassies. Here's clip number 7.
Were those 4 embassies alerted that there was a threat to them?
All the embassies were alerted.
Somebody stop this. This is insane. You literally had Robert O'Brien on ABC going, they weren't alerted, we're not afraid. And then Mark Esper, Secretary of Defense, on CNN going, they were all alerted. Guess what we just learned an hour and a half ago from CNN's reporting? State Department officials involved in U.S. Embassy security said they were not made aware of any imminent threats to 4 specific embassies. Continuing on, saying, without knowledge of any alleged threats, the State Department did not issue warnings of danger to any U.S. embassies before the administration targeted the Iranian General Soleimani. Someone's lying. You've got O'Brien going, we didn't warn anyone. We don't cut and run. Mark Esper going, we warned him. Now reporting just came out. No one was warned. And if you thought it could get worse, it did. Here is Mark Esper continue on CBS, because these big guys are making the rounds, asked, did you ever see specific evidence, intel, data, that 4 embassies, as Donald Trump keeps saying, were targeted by Soleimani? And this is the big winner. Here we go. Clip number 8.
Why was there a difference?
What the president said was he believed that it probably and could have been attacks against additional embassies. I shared that view. I know other members of the national security team shared that view. That's why I deployed thousands of American paratroopers to the Middle East to reinforce our embassy in Baghdad and other sites throughout the region.
Probably and could have been. That sounds more like an assessment than a specific, tangible threat with a decisive piece of intelligence.
Well, the president didn't say there was a tangible, he didn't cite a specific piece of evidence. What he said is he believed.
Are you saying there wasn't one?
I didn't see one with regard to 4 embassies.
Well, there you go, folks. Game over. Look, I'm almost winded by this garbage. It is lie after lie. It is Donald Trump, the liar in chief, at the top of this chain of lies, this pyramid of lies. You've got Mark Esper saying, trying to be honest, I think, saying right there, I didn't see any specific evidence of intelligence saying any embassies were targeted. He's the Secretary of Defense, folks. He would have seen it. So he didn't see it. Trump saying he did. Esper saying we warned the embassies. We're learning today they didn't warn the embassies. Robert O'Brien, our security advisor, going, hey, we don't cut and run, so we didn't have to tell anyone. Why would you not tell anyone about a specific threat that was deadly? You don't want another Benghazi. And the common sense answer is there was no specific threat. Donald Trump killed the Iranian general because he thought it would help his 2020 campaign. Period. End. Done. That's it. There's nothing more to this. And only 25% of Americans think that made us safer. A majority think it's made us less safe. And that's why polls have shown that. Just an ABC poll yesterday said the exact same thing. And Trump's lies continue. And this is dangerous. This is not about calling out Donald Trump's lies and everything else, like when he lies about stupid things. This is about, it's not a game. These are people's lives. People in the military will get sent into harm's way because of a liar like Trump. And you know what? The flip side is we are going to have times where there are specific imminent threats against the nation. And Trump's going to go on TV and say it. And because of all the other lies, we're not going to believe it when it's real. And all of this leads to the conclusion is Trump is making us less safe as a nation. And just to add briefly, then Donald Trump goes on Twitter this weekend, tweeting to the Iranian people in Farsi, which is the language they speak. They're not Arabs. They don't speak Arabic. In Farsi, tweeting, I've stood with you since the beginning of my presidency. My administration will continue to stand with you. We are following your protests closely and are inspired by your courage. So Trump is telling the Iranians, we stand with you. So Trump, he so cares about the Iranians. Want to know how much he cares about them? He's banned them all from this country with his Muslim ban. That's how much he cares about them. He has put crippling sanctions on the nation so the average person is hurting. But the real thing is the Muslim ban. You've got grandparents in Iran who can't visit their grandkids in America. Sick and elderly people in Iran who want to stay with their kids here and get better care here. They can't come here because they're one of the 5 Muslim majority countries on Trump's Muslim ban. They're the most populous of all the countries on it. Iran's a country of over 80 million people. And if you were wondering, well, have they tried to come to America? Because there's a waiver program. There's a waiver system for Trump's Muslim ban. And guess which country has applied the most and guess which country has been denied the most of all the countries on the Muslim ban? Syria, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Iran. Guess which ones had the most denials of waiver applications? The country Trump says he cares so much about, Iran. He's approved, estimates are about 3 to 5 to 7%. It's tough to get the exact numbers, but as the National Iranian American Council, a not-for-profit organization, said, the Muslim ban has succeeded in separating American families, making the country less inclusive, and the waiver process is a sham. And if you look at the statistics, it's ridiculous, but when you look at the real stories of people, it is heartbreaking. Of Iranians. I mean, there's stories documented in the Washington Post, New York Times, LA Times, for example. There's a woman who lives, Hadiya, her name is, lives in Long Island, not far from here. She's got 2 children with her Iranian husband. One of their children, 9 years old, Aiden, has autism. She told the New York Times, my husband is banned simply because he was born in Iran. And she shared the impact of the ban. I don't have him beside me as I get my son tested, as our daughter plays in playoffs, or she performs at her school concerts. I don't have him for birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, deaths in the family, or simply to kiss goodnight. Why? Because Trump cares so much about these Iranians, he has banned all of them. There are Iranian Americans living in the States who have children here and whose parents, because they live and born in Iran, and they're Iranian American, but the Iranian born in Iran can't visit here. They can't visit their granddaughters. There's a compelling story in the New York Times about one couple talked about their daughter who talks to their grandfather in Iran via Skype. That's it. He can't come here. As he put it, my daughter probably thinks grandparents are things that live inside Skype. We are not a terrorist family, and this is not fair. In fact, it is so bad, 14 Iranian American families have sued the Trump administration a few months ago in federal court for the unbearable burden, as they put it, because of the Trump Muslim ban. Families, married couples, separated. Just like family separation at the border, this is separation that you don't see on TV because they're never even allowed in the country simply because they're born in Iran. But Trump wants to tell you he cares about the Iranian people in his little tweet. This is despicable. And I guess, it's heartbreaking for me on some level. And I guess that's because I'm Muslim and I see what's going on here. This is all a part of the anti-Muslim animus of Donald Trump, a man who today tweeted out an image of Nancy Pelosi in a hijab and Chuck Schumer wearing what looked like a turban because his base loves that. Who banned Muslims because during the campaign in December 2015, he said, I want a total complete ban on Muslims coming to this country. And guess what percent of GOP voters were on board with that? 65%. For a total ban. So an isolated ban, they're all on board, banning Iranians. But then Trump, despicably, as I put it, tweets, we care about the Iranian people. He doesn't care about them. To him, it's just another little wedge issue he can try to divide our country by. And the bottom line in the big picture, forget the ban on Iran. What Trump has done is made us less safe as a nation. Made everyone out there listening, I don't care where you are politically, Donald Trump is making us less safe. And here's the thing, Trumpers, even you know that. Because then nobody knows when he's telling the truth. So when there is a real threat, we're not going to believe it. Because in this case, there was not. And now the lie is clear for us all to see. And this is where we stand. So I'd love to hear from you about the idea of, do you think Trump, forget politics, has made us less safe because we don't know the truth from a lie with this guy? So when there is a threat to our nation and to our homeland, and he says we must do something, we are not going to believe it. And that's the price for lying to us consistently from coming down that escalator in June 2015 to today. The problem is with that price is that we might suffer that. We might be the victims of that price. That we could lose friends, family members, not even in the military, by terrorist attacks. We might not believe what Trump is saying in the future. And our allies can't trust him at all. He's isolated our nation. So this is where we are. I'd love to hear from you. You're my guest at the top of the hour. Then we have Midman Charles going to be here and Rick Unger in the third hour. We're going to talk a lot about impeachment. The trial looks like we're going to find out tomorrow from Speaker Pelosi, looking like she's going to convey the articles of impeachment over, and that would trigger a trial most likely beginning next week. We don't know how many days. We don't know the details. We don't know if there'll be witnesses or not. But right now, let's talk about Trump lying about national security and the threat this poses to our nation. 866-997-4748. Love to hear from you right here on the Dean Obeidallah Show.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
Whoever's the next president, we should call him the 45th president of the United States. And this will go down as a dark time in America that we'll never